Woodstock is truly one of those places that within a 25-mile radius, you can have amazing food, meet amazing people, have access to all of the shopping that you could ever want, go on incredible hikes, do water activities, and, go into the mountains. It should be on everybody's list. It really should be.
Hey, this is Cindy Scott from Cinder's Travels. Welcome to the Locals Know Best podcast. This is episode 22. Locals Know Best is a bi-weekly podcast where my guests share the places and outdoor travel adventures they love most right in their own backyards. Topics range from unique lodging options, treasured outdoor activities, favorite dining spots, and a breakdown of whether the insta-famous and possibly overrated spots in town are even worth checking out. Today, I'll be speaking with Kressa Peterson about a perfect day of outdoor adventure in Woodstock, Georgia. Kressa is a wife, mom, grandmother, Spartan Racer, ex-Sporthorse saleswoman, and entrepreneur. Her most recent venture was creating the Shower Toga, a cleanup and changing garment that acts as your very own personal locker room. It provides all the privacy you need to shower anywhere, anytime. And a few years back, Kressa presented the product on Shark Tank and walked away with a deal with Mark Cuban. If you want to follow along with links to all the places we're talking about and a map of the area, this episode's show notes can be found at localsknowbestpodcast.com/22. One more thing before we start. After we finished recording this episode, I had a sneaking suspicion that some of you outdoor adventurers listening might be interested in obtaining a shower toga for yourself. If that is the case, Kressa has given Locals Know Best listeners a special discount code. Simply use the link in the show notes and then enter coupon code LOCALS15 at checkout, and you'll save 15% off your shower toga order. As always, thanks so much for listening. Let's get into the episode. Hey, Kressa, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to record this one for everyone listening. We're starting recording this 37 minutes later than we were supposed to because we both logged in fifth wheels and we went on the mandatory RV everything life talk for about 30 minutes before pressing record.
We have so much in common. It's crazy. I'm just so excited. I feel like I've already made a new friend and we're already talking about where are we going next and the RV lifestyle and everything else.
Yeah, I've never logged in before and the other person is also in a fifth wheel. So pretty cool.
Yep. We are adventurers for sure, Cindy.
Yes. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us an introduction.
Sure. My name is Kressa Peterson. I am married of 30 years now, have two beautiful children and a stepdaughter as well, several grandchildren, and we travel around the country in our fifth wheel. We actually have a home in Woodstock, Georgia, and I was in the horse industry for a long time and then pivoted over and invented my own product called the Shower Toga, which is for camping and hiking and all outdoor activities. Was lucky enough to get on Shark Tank and get a deal with the amazing Mark Cuban. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, that's great. So much information there. I didn't know about the horses. That's really cool too.
Yeah, I actually rode show jumpers as a show jumping athlete for a long time and then got into the brokering end of show jumping and imported horses from Europe for show jumping competitions in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a very, very fun job. I love horses. It's a big passion in my life.
Okay, well, I know we're going to speak a lot about Woodstock. Real quick, though, I do want to ask you one question about the toga. So my husband and I are starting to consider planning hiking the AT next year. And I really wanted to ask you, do you think that would be something good for that? It seems like it would be.
We have a lot of people that use the shower toga for big hiking trips. We actually have a group of people that are hiking Mount Everest that ordered a bunch. It was a whole group. And so, no, the shower toga, and it's funny because a lot of times people may think, well, if you're doing these long hikes like the Appalachian Trail, that you're going to have privacy, but you actually don't. That's not really valid information because a lot of times people will kind of congregate and stop in the same areas, give or take. And so, yes, we have probably thousands of hikers now that use a shower toga. And that's one of the reasons that we worked on it for about 8 months to get the weight down. It only weighs 5.5 ounces. So it was very important to us that that weight got really, really lightweight, yet was super, super durable because they last for years. So it was because of through hikers like what you're looking at doing. You really want to be under 7 ounces at the most, if you can be, for each product, if possible.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing a lot of.
Now, what I've been told is that they use collapsible, really lightweight water bottles, and you can actually just get water out of the water sources there on your hike so that you're not having to carry any water. Of course, you'll use a biodegradable soap, but another thing that a lot of people use a shower toga for is if it gets really cold, a shower toga also works as a Mylar blanket replacement.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and it's amazing. So we actually have a lot of people that tell us that some of these people are in really cold climates, though, but they will have their sleeping bags and they'll have clothing on, like their thermal underwear. They put the shower toga on over their thermal underwear, and then they wear it in their sleeping bag. And because it connects at the chest and it has toggles, it'll keep your core warm where the Mylar moves around a lot. And then it has so many dual purposes that it's good because it's not just a one-use product as far as keeping you warm as well. When we do Spartan races, a lot of times we're doing it in very, very cold climates, and we wear them over our clothes as we're warming up and then take it off at the last minute and start the race. I did the Disney half marathon in Florida a few years ago. They don't allow you to take Mylar out onto the course anymore because people are slipping on it and super bad for the environment. So they want to contain it. I ran the first 1.5 miles in my shower toga. It's hilarious, but it was so cold and I couldn't get warm. My body heated up so nicely. I just took it off, put it in my Camelback, and then finished the race. And instead of accepting another Mylar blanket, which again is just horrible for the environment, I just put my shower toga back on. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I was just going to say the lightweightness of it is nice because a lot of people so we just did the Disney Marathon in 2020 before the world shut down, and it was the complete opposite experience. It was insanely hot. They had record days. But a lot of the thing about running is people wear these mittens and they go to like Goodwill and they get the cheap sweater and the mittens and then they just throw it out to the entrance of the run. I'm sure Disney tries their hardest to collect those and redonate them or whatever, but it's still like such a mess. It'd be so nice to just have something like that that's really compactable and lightweight and you just bring it with you to the finish line. I can see how that would be awesome.
Yep. It's, a lady reached out to me and she was just telling me, look, exactly what you said, Cindy. For years, we've been going out and doing this. And she said, and I used a shower toga. She goes, it was so much easier. And she's right. Once you do it and once you use it, it's truly one of those products that you wonder how it hasn't been invented before. And you kind of wonder how you lived without it once you have it, because it just opens up so many opportunities.
Yeah. Okay, well, great. Sounds like I would have a few uses for one of them. So I'm really interested in checking it out. Well, now I would love to talk about Woodstock, Georgia, which I can't wait to learn more about because it lies not far outside from the zone my husband and I have been focusing a lot of our attention on this year, which is basically the southern section of the Appalachian Mountains. We're just in love with this area. And Woodstock is not that far away, right? I know it's a little closer to Atlanta, but same general area?
Yeah. Okay. So Woodstock is about 45 minutes to an hour north of Atlanta. It's also like another 1.5 hours from Chattanooga.
Okay. And so what brought you guys to Woodstock?
I actually grew up in Texas, outside of Houston, in a community called Clear Lake City, which is where NASA's located. That's where people usually know what town it is. And we moved to actually Roswell, Georgia, because my husband got located in Roswell, Georgia for work. But Roswell grew really, really fast. And we wanted to have more land and we wanted, to have horses and to have kind of a little farm. And so at that time, which was probably like 24, 25 years ago, we moved to Woodstock, which is only about 20 minutes from Roswell, but it felt like a world away back then. And so we bought a farm, we had our horses there, and eventually about 10 years ago, we sold the farm, but we loved Woodstock so much, we actually just bought a house right around the corner that didn't have all the acreage. And so instead of moving somewhere else, we loved Woodstock so much, we just moved around the corner in a neighborhood.
Yeah, nice. Okay, well, you're definitely an expert on the area then. You've been there for a while and spent a great deal of time around there. So
Certainly.
let's talk about what makes Woodstock, Georgia so awesome and why we should maybe be checking it out.
So Woodstock, Georgia still has that small town feel. They haven't lost that quaintness that, to me, you only get from small towns. And they haven't lost that during the time that they've been growing and building and expanding. And I think that's a hard balance for any town, to keep that feel in the midst of so much expansion, which is going on all over the country. And so there's an area in Woodstock called Downtown Woodstock. It is absolutely amazing. It's got these wonderful breweries. It has a concert venue, actually a few different concert venues, restaurants, and a nice variety of restaurants, anything from reasonably priced Mexican food to high quality, go out on your anniversary date restaurants. And then, of course, outside of the town, you have all of the other conveniences. You have the Costco, you have the big stores, but you also have the mom and pop stores that haven't been run out of business, because the people in Woodstock are wonderful and the community supports those small businesses. And I love that. I love knowing that I can go into a dress shop and it's owned by another small business entrepreneur, just like myself. And she's getting enough business in that boutique or dress shop to maintain a wonderful quality of life for her family. And that's because of the community. And then, of course, once you get even further out from that, the area is absolutely beautiful. And there's so many places to go and places to hike, and there's waterfalls out there. And then within 30 minutes, there's lots of different places to camp and feel like you are literally hours away from civilization. So there's a lot that it has to offer for anyone.
Yeah, I believe it. Just from our investigating these little pockets in northern Georgia, these little communities such as Blue Ridge or Helen and little spots like that, it's exactly what you're describing.
Yeah, Georgia has a ton of those. There's a lot of great areas. Also, you should look at Dahlonega. Dahlonega is North Georgia as well. And Dahlonega is just, it's precious. It's beautiful up in Dahlonega.
I've been following them on Instagram for a while. They're like a Hallmark Christmas town. They got that look.
Big time. Exactly. You expect to see it on like the Hallmark Channel. Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there a best or worst time of year to be visiting this part of Georgia?
Well, I think there is. I think it is a little different for everybody. I will say that the best time of year for me personally is fall, because I'm a fall girl. I absolutely love fall. Everything in that northern part of Georgia, the leaves are turning, the weather is beautiful. I will say that if you get up into the northern Georgia mountains, closer into like Dahlonega, Blue Ridge Mountain area, going when it's snowing is magical. So obviously it's going to be colder. It may not be as welcoming if you want to jump in that waterfall. But from a visual standpoint, the snow in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Georgia it's mesmerizing. And I don't know, I've been in a lot of snowy areas, and there's something about the Blue Ridge Mountains and the snow. Spring is also beautiful because of the flowers blooming. I'm not a huge fan of the summers in Woodstock. It is very, very, very hot. I don't love the sweltering heat, and there's a lot more humidity there than in some places. So the spring and the fall is always just so refreshing. It's always like, oh, thank goodness summer's over. Or, oh boy, thank goodness it's not as cold anymore. But that's another benefit of being in Woodstock. You actually have 4 seasons. So there's beauty in every single season. So I'd say fall would be the time that I would have my perfect day out there.
Okay. So we're having a fall day. We're going to go around with you and do all your favorite things. So let's start off with, if we're not waking up with you, where are we waking up?
So I will say there's not a lot of hotel accommodations in the Woodstock area. And in some ways, I think that's really cool because it keeps that small town feel. But there are fabulous rentals and Airbnbs all over the area. So if you're looking kind of north of Woodstock, there's just so many places that are super, super cute. And in downtown Woodstock, there's some beautiful kind of vacation condos as well. If you want to camp, Red Top Mountain. I guess it's about 45 minutes from Woodstock. And that's where a lot of people from the Woodstock area will camp. And you can have an RV, a camping trailer, a tent. It doesn't matter, but it is absolutely beautiful. The views are fantastic. The sunsets are just unbelievable, absolutely mind blowing. It has a lot of good hiking trails up there, and you are right on the lake. I've had campsites where we would just drag our kayaks and our paddleboard back and forth because we could enter the water just directly from our campsite. The spaces are pretty spread out, so you have some privacy. Depends on which site you get, but there's a ton of access where you're not having to drive somewhere to get that access. Red Top is super inviting in that way.
Okay, well, those both sound like great options. Now I would really love to hear of a great place in town where we can start off our day, perhaps with a juice, coffee, or breakfast.
So the first thing that I would probably do on my perfect day is go to Copper Coin. Copper Coin is a coffee house in downtown Woodstock. They were kind of one of the main things that opened when downtown Woodstock started growing and it started exploding. It's so cute. They've got fantastic breakfast snacks. Their coffee is amazing. It's super cool inside. A little bit of a hipster vibe. The decoration is just incredibly inviting. There's lots of tables so you can get there, get on your computer, get your coffee, and almost have a conference. There's so many different little areas like that at Copper Coin. So yeah, I love going there, and that's where I would start out.
All right. And so after we're all fueled up, what's going to be our first outdoor activity?
Okay, so Rope Mill Park is probably no more than, I guess it's like maybe 8 to 10 minutes from downtown Woodstock. And Rope Mill has so many things to offer. First of all, you can mountain bike there. They've got amazing mountain bike trails. And they just expanded their trails. So I'm not sure how many they have at this point or how many they added, but I know they've got at least 5 mountain bike trails. I'm not sure if the 6th one is open yet. We also do a lot of running at Rope Mill, and it's also very, very hilly. So when you're running or mountain biking, there's a ton of switchbacks. There's a lot of elevation. So you get a lot of different views depending on where you are along your hike or your run or your mountain biking activity. There's a river right there. It goes into a larger lake, which is going to be Lake Altoona. You can take your kayak or your stand-up paddleboard. You can paddle down the river, and you actually end up going underneath what is Highway 5. And as you keep going a little bit further, there is some unbelievable waterfalls back there. So if anybody goes to Rope Mill Park, you've got to find the waterfalls. You just kind of follow the river the way it flows. And I mean, they're as beautiful as any waterfalls you'll see anywhere else in the country. So I like to spend a lot of time at Rope Mill. And what we really like to do is do a really hardcore run. And we will finish running, we'll be hot and sweaty, and then we get into the water and we go down and we just hang out down there at the waterfalls, park the kayaks and the paddleboard, and just hike all through that little area right there. And it's absolutely beautiful. You could easily spend 6 hours just at Rope Mill Park going to all the different trails.
Well, all of that sounds fantastic. A great way to start out the day or even spend a whole day. Let's say we're ready for lunch. Where would we be going for that?
There's a couple of places that I love for lunch. One would be Century House, which is in downtown Woodstock, and they have a ton of craft cocktails. I mean, whether or not you want to have a cocktail at lunch, that's to each his own, but the chef there has been there for a long time, and you can experience the cuisine and the talent that's behind the chef there. They mix a lot of really interesting ingredients, and they have fabulous salads and sandwiches. So I'd say Century House would be one of my favorites. I have to also say, though, that Ips, I believe it's one of the children from the owner of a restaurant called Ippolito's. They opened a restaurant called Ips. And when you go there, it's an Italian restaurant. It's also in downtown Woodstock. But Ips and Ippolito's both became mega famous for their garlic rolls. So like when you go to Mexican, you get chips and salsa. When you go to Ips, you get these big, huge, fat, Parmesan encrusted buttered rolls. And oh my gosh, if you're going to have a cheat day, that is the place to do it. Go to Ips. That is without a doubt the place to have a massive cheat day. It's family run. The energy is super good. They have this really cute little outdoor patio, as does Century House. There's a lot of trees around there. Downtown Woodstock is bustling, so it's fun. The traffic there can be pretty busy, but they keep the speed limit really low, so you don't have a bunch of traffic noise. That makes a big difference when you're sitting outside. So you could really enjoy sitting outside in both of those restaurants.
Okay. And I know you said that the park where we started our day, really you could spend a whole day there, but are there any other afternoon activities or evening activities you wanted to also include?
Yeah, Kennesaw Mountain also has a ton to offer, and Kennesaw Mountain has a ton of history behind it as well. They do tours, and it's giant. It is a very, very large place. Some of the hikes going through Kennesaw Mountain are pretty long hikes. So that's also a beautiful place. Lake Lanier is also another beautiful area. It kind of borders some areas right outside of Woodstock. And if you have a boat, then a lot of people like to go up to Lake Lanier, but it gets incredibly crowded on the weekends.
Is there a lake that's closest to Woodstock that you can maybe rent a boat or anything like that on?
Yeah, Lake Altoona is definitely going to be the closest lake to Woodstock. Carter's Lake is also really, really pretty. Yonah Mountain is breathtaking as well. That's going to be a little bit further north. You have to go a little bit further out to get there.
Okay, great. And is there anything else you would want to include? Or maybe if we had a second day, any other kind of adventures to go on in the area?
Okay, so this was a lot of fun for me. Our son and his girlfriend are big skydivers. They both have hundreds of jumps. My son wingsuits now because he's trying to put me into an early grave. Not even kidding. But they skydive out of a place called Spaceland. And it's about an hour from Woodstock. I will say there's a few different places, but I know that Spaceland has an incredible safety record. We go there and we watch them. It's so fun to watch everybody jump and see all the little poof, poof, poof as their chutes are opening in the sky. And then you see people go up and come down and go up and come down. And you get a little bit more comfortable with the fact that everybody came down and they're all okay. So my son actually really, really pressured me to do it. And I thought, there's no way. I'm afraid of flying. Like, I'm literally petrified of flying. And he's like, Kate, we really want you to go. It was during the eclipse that was happening in Georgia a few years ago. And I ended up doing it. I have no idea why I did it. I think I knew it was an opportunity to jump during the eclipse, which you don't get every day. And it was absolutely amazing. I have to recommend that. It was a ton of fun, and it was a bucket list thing. And, I think that's a really super cool thing to do if you're in that part of Georgia. It's like, why not? I'm not sure I'll do it again, but yet I highly recommend having done it one time.
Yeah, that's good to know. And for the recommendation of it being a safe place, that's great to know. I've never gone skydiving, but it's been discussed recently with friends and family. So I think it's coming for us.
Oh, you need to do that.
I know. I really do think it's happening sometime soon.
It is an incredibly freeing. When I jumped out of the plane, I was nervous. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, you're not nervous. It's beautiful. And I don't know. It's a different sensation than I expected it to be. I probably would do it again. As I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, that was so much fun. It's still scary,
yeah,
but it was so much fun. And the safety stuff that you go through, and it is just super professional, super professional. Yeah, but you have to do it. Cindy, I want to see that you've done it.
I'm pretty convinced I will. It's just, I need to just not think about it until it's time. And then I'm
you
pretty
have to
sure.
come out there. Meet us out there. We'll meet us out there. Connor can take all of us, and we'll do it again.
Oh, man. I think my biggest concern is that I will have like a heart attack at the moment when I jump out of the plane. But I've heard it's so surreal. Like you go into like a real peacefulness almost. And that seems wild to me, but I believe it.
That's true. That's true. The worst part for me was the airplane ride up because I'm afraid of flying. So it absolutely makes no sense, but I was almost happy to jump out of the plane, which makes no sense. Why would you be happy to jump out of the plane? Because turbulence puts me into a tailspin. So once we jumped out, I was like, oh, thank God we're out of that plane. Not that there's a lot of logic behind it.
Yeah. I don't say no to much of anything. So you got to try everything once, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Just so you've done it and then you can decide if you want to do it again. But that's the thing. You can't have regret.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. That's why we're both in RVs.
That is exactly why we're both in RVs. And there are good and bad days to living in RVs for sure.
Yes.
It is a roller coaster ride, but right now I still love it. I feel free. I don't feel so tied down.
Yeah, it's nice. You can be traveling a ton or you can be more slow like we're being right now after traveling a ton for the last 2 years. It's nice to be able to just take your whole home and your family. We haven't mentioned that we both have husbands and animals locked in our back rooms behind us, but it's nice that
we do. And they're locked back there. My husband's cracking me up. He's like, how long is this podcast going to be? I'm like, I don't know, around an hour. I'm like, you have a back door, honey. Just go out the back door.
Oh, that's
like, you just have to do that.
That's better than my husband. He does not have a back door. He's just in there.
Then that's hilarious. I love that. That's hilarious. I wish my husband didn't have a back door. I'd lock him out. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't really.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, they're good sports. Good dudes.
They are very good sports.
Okay, well, taking us back to Woodstock, I think we've had a very full day, lots of amazing outdoorsy options, even jumping out of a plane. As the day winds down, where are we headed for dinner? For me, this is me. Everybody's different. But if I'm going to end my day after that, I'm going to end my day at El Jinete Mexican restaurant, which is actually technically, I think it's a Roswell address. And they have one in Woodstock, but my favorite one by far is the one in Roswell. It's on the edge of Sandy Plains Road and Highway 92. And that has been our go-to restaurant, not kidding, for 25 years. Nice. I mean, our kids grew up at that restaurant. We know everybody there. The food is amazing, but the margaritas are out of this world, like literally out of this world. So I always want to end every single day at El Jinete. Yeah. But I can't do that, or I'd be, that wouldn't be good for me. But yeah, it's fabulous restaurant. There's lots of fabulous restaurants, but for me, that would be the perfect ending. That's always the perfect ending to any kind of fun day that I have. Yeah. A Mexican restaurant is, I think, always the best place to end, for sure. It's actually really commonly the end of the day answer on this podcast. And it's just the best place to go after spending a day on bikes, running on the water, all of it. I totally get it. Why is that? Isn't that the funniest thing? I mean, to me, there's nothing that a taco and a margarita can't fix. To me, also, I feel like it's part of the atmosphere. I don't know. Like, I just feel like those restaurants are usually pretty nice. There's a lot of energy going on. And they feed you right when you sit down, which is always a plus when you're really worn out from working out. Exactly. You're right. At least you have chips and salsa, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, thank goodness I have chips and salsa and I have a margarita and I can at least, yeah, you're right. And usually they're family run. There's usually a family dynamic in those restaurants. And I think you're right. I think the energy in those types of places is infectious. It certainly is there. That's for sure. Okay. Awesome. So we went through our day and we had fantastic dinner. We had the best margarita in the world, but then maybe we want to keep going, or maybe we want happy hour before dinner. Where would we go?
Okay, so if you want happy hour before dinner or you want happy hour after dinner, there is a martini bar called Ice. It's ICE Martini Bar. It's in downtown Woodstock. They specialize in really, really cool martinis. Also, they have a very active kind of nightlife. It's a super eclectic group of people that go there. It's not like it's all people in their 20s or it's all people in their 60s. It's a big variety of ages. They have some really cute little tables outside, and it's just a very classy place. And they have some great happy hours. But it's a cool place if you're like, we just finished eating and we still have things we want to go do. Like, let's go find something else to do. Like, that's the perfect place to wind up your evening if you want to go out and have another cocktail.
And best Instagram spots. Where do we go for like really great pictures in your neck of the woods?
Best Instagram spot would probably be the waterfall off of Rope Mill. I mean, really, it's beautiful. And there's a wade pool right underneath it. And there's rocks. So you can go up there, get the beautiful falls in the background. You can swim. You can get an amazing selfie. You can lay on the rock and take a really cool picture. Yeah, I think that one is the winner, probably by quite a bit.
Okay, great. And then are there any overrated spots in your area?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that Stone Mountain was kind of what I was thinking of. And Stone Mountain itself is not overrated. Stone Mountain is beautiful. But what happens is when you're going to try to visit this absolutely majestic, beautiful place, it's just super crowded and that you lose a lot of the area. And what I'd say it's overrated for peace and quiet and hiking. But if you can go to Stone Mountain, maybe in the morning on a weekday and climb up to the top, wow, that is quite a view. You can see, if there's not a lot of cloud cover, you can see downtown Atlanta. You have a panoramic view of the entire Atlanta area. And there's a ton for kids to do. That's a really good place to go if you have kids and a family. So if you're looking for peace and quiet and hiking, that's not really where you need to go. If you want an entertaining thing to do with the kids, and they're going to sell funnel cakes and you can take the gondola up to the top of the mountain and, you can walk down with lots of other people. I mean, it's still a cool place, but in a lot of my groups, I'm in a lot of camping groups and a lot of hiking groups, and you'll see people say, wow, we planned a week trip to Stone Mountain and it's just chaos here. You just have to understand what you're going for. It's that's more of kind of like a, not a Disney World, because I do love Disney World, like a lot. But, you're not going to go to Disney World to just chill out and relax, right? You're not going to go to Stone Mountain to chill out and relax. You're going to go there to entertain the kids and the family. So I'd say you just need to know where you're going, know what to expect.
Yeah. It's great to hear that about Stone Mountain, because a lot of times we plan trips to these outdoorsy places and you just don't necessarily know what you're walking into. I had a good example. My husband and I spent some time last summer in the Poconos area, which I think you do think of as a crowded area, which a lot of people do. I don't know if you do, but there was a waterfall there. It's called like the Niagara of Pennsylvania. I think it's called Bushkill Falls. And we went to this waterfall and it was like Disneyland. And this is during COVID. I mean, they had parking lot attendants. It was just people everywhere. I don't want to attack this waterfall, but you don't go always knowing what is going to be there is all I want to say. And so it's nice to know that, because you just know what you're planning on going into.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And then, like you said, nothing against those places. It may be beautiful. It may be wonderful. It may be perfect. But the fact of the matter is, if you're expecting something very different, you're going to be disappointed. And maybe the area doesn't deserve the disappointment if you know what you're walking into.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's do a quick wrap up on the whole area. Just kind of give us your best sales pitch as to why we should be going and checking out the Woodstock, Georgia area.
I think everybody should check out Woodstock, Georgia for the balance that it has, a balance of everything. Woodstock is truly one of those places that within a 25-mile radius, you can have amazing food, meet amazing people, have access to all of the shopping that you could ever want, go on incredible hikes, do water activities, and, go into the mountains. The views are so beautiful as well. It's just an all around beautiful little town that has so much to offer. And it should be on everybody's list. It really should be. It's just a quaint, beautiful little area. And it's got the best of everything, really.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing it with us today. I didn't know of the area at all, so it's on my list now for sure. We're going to go check it out. We're already exploring all these areas, so it's one more I'm going to.
That's wonderful. And then when you explore that area, we'll have to get together and we'll end it with a big old skydive.
Yes. I feel like for sure we're going to meet up somewhere. It's just going to happen at this point.
I think so. It'll happen.
How do we find out more about you, Kressa, and Shower Toga?
Oh, thanks for asking. I have a website. It's showertoga.com, and would love for everybody to check the Shower Toga out. If they have any questions, of course, you can contact us through email, which is showertoga@gmail.com. But if you want to check out our Shark Tank episode, I believe it's on Hulu. They move it around a bit, but it was season 10. And a lot of times I tell people, if you want to kind of know what we're doing, definitely follow us on Instagram and Facebook. But you can also Google Shower Toga Kressa Peterson and see way more of me than you want to. You get sick of me, but you see everything we're doing, the things that we've done for the healthcare providers. We did a lot of donation campaigns during COVID for nurses and doctors and hospital housekeeping to clean up after COVID decontamination. And I would just love for people to reach out and find us and see if Shower Toga is for you. I personally can't imagine that it wouldn't be. So please check us out. I think everybody needs to have a Shower Toga.
Yes, and everybody should check out her Shark Tank episode for sure. I watched it right before this interview and she killed it. It's so inspirational. I'm so proud of everyone who goes on there and does well. I love watching those episodes.
It was so much fun. And don't judge my husband just because he's in a tutu and pigtails. That's not his normal outfit of the day.
Again, so supportive. Such a good guy.
Yep.
All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for being on with me today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Cindy. I had a great time. And thank you for allowing me to kind of introduce our little hometown of Woodstock, Georgia to your listeners.
Yes. Go check it out. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, if you want to grab the show notes for this episode, head on over to localsknowbestpodcast.com/22. If you're interested in checking out the Shower Toga for yourself, just remember to click on the link in the show notes and be sure to use the coupon code LOCALS15 to get 15% off your order. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love if you'd leave a review in Apple Podcasts and let me know what your favorite part was. Make sure to check out the Instagram post for this episode over at Locals Know Best Podcast, and please feel free to share the episode with your favorite travel buddy. Thanks so much. Catch you next time on Locals Know Best.